We got another huge win for worldwide populist right forces, this time in the nation of Switzerland. We're going to take a look at the latest national elections in Europe. We're going to see why the continent continues to shift to the right and what it all means for the future of a new conservative age. You're not going to want to miss this. Hey, gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patron professor, here to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. If you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, if you would, please share this video with friends and family. We are, unfortunately, once again being throttled by big tech, so I need your help to get the hopeful messages of this channel out to as many people as possible. Also, for you patriot business owners out there, you have got to meet my good friend Josh Zaglowski, co-founder of ERC Specialists. He's got an amazing payroll protection company exclusively dedicated to understanding and maximizing what's called the CARES Act Employee Retention Credit. So if you're a small business owner looking to get up to $26,000 per employee back from bumbling Biden, click on that link in the description below to see if you qualify today. This is an absolutely amazing opportunity. The nation of Switzerland held their national elections yesterday, and I am ecstatic to report that the nationalist populist Swiss People's Party, their Patriot Party, absolutely crushed it. The AP is reporting that the SVP, or the Swiss People's Party, came in first in the multi-party elections, with 1 in 3 Swiss voters voting for the nationalist right. By contrast, the far-left Green Party was crushed. They came in 5th place and mirrored the results we saw in parliamentary elections over the last few weeks. If you recall, just days back, we had 2 elections in Europe where voters overwhelmingly turned against their Green Party. So in Germany, their so-called far right, or the AfD, the Alternative for Deutschland, again, that's Germany's Patriot Party there. They won a huge election, crushed their far-left Green Party in the regions of Hesse and Bavaria. Also, on the same day in Luxembourg, their Green coalition took a shellacking in their national elections. Luxembourg's center-right Christian Social People's Party won in a blowout election there and are now in talks to forming a governing coalition that once again completely repudiates their woke leftist Green government. So what we saw in Switzerland is part of a pattern, unfortunately, that Poland interrupted. Poland turned to the left last week. I mean, well, their Nationalist Populist Party, the Law and Justice Party, they won the most votes. They came in first, but they fell short of an outright majority. And so the leftist losers are going to form a governing coalition, a majority of minorities, as it were. But regardless, the Swiss People's Party just dominated the polls yesterday. They will, in turn, of course, dominate the next parliament. And that dominance, and here's the key takeaway from all of this, that dominance comes from campaigning on primarily 2 issues: immigration and wokeness. They promise their voters to stand against unfettered immigration and woke madness. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Kind of sounds like MAGA, right? But this would be MISCA, make Switzerland great again. And that's exactly what the Swiss People's Party has been doing. They've been writing the textbook for MAGA, make Europe great again. And they've been dominant in Swiss politics for well over a decade. In fact, the long-term success that the Swiss People's Party has had actually bursts a myth that liberals have been pushing, a myth that argues that, oh, all this nationalist populism, it's actually all the result of the crash of 2008, the global financial crisis. And what a number of liberals argue is that once the anxiety from the GFC finally subsides, then this populist trend should proportionally subside. The problem with this view is that in Europe in particular, the nationalist populist right actually enjoyed its greatest successes before 2008. And in nations that were already experiencing very strong economic growth. So, for example, in Britain, Nigel Farage's first stormed the political stage into the European parliamentary elections back in 2004, and that was after 48 consecutive months of economic growth. Same goes with Scandinavia as well as Switzerland with the SVP. They both saw the rise of an electoral success of nationalist populist parties long before 2008. Obviously, something far deeper is going on here with that the elites in the EU are going to have to contend with, that they expect to be around much longer. The fact is that decades of globalization has eroded a sense of border security among populations, where they see dramatic explosions in migrant populations that are in turn eroding their customs, cultures, and traditions, their way of life, which is giving rise to cultural insecurity among the populations. That's exactly what we saw in Switzerland. For example, in Switzerland, they recently passed a national burqa ban by way of a popular referendum. And that was preceded a couple of years back by the Swiss canton of St. Gallen in northeastern Switzerland, when they held a referendum and voted overwhelmingly by a 2/3 margin to ban face coverings characteristic of the Islamic burqa in their region. Originally, the right-leaning parliament there in St. Gallen had proposed the ban, Swiss People's Party, but it was challenged by parties on the political left. And so they held a referendum. Over 70,000 people came out to vote in favor of the measure. And that was all but a foreshadowing of the national ban that just passed some months back. And this is in addition to a 2009 referendum that passed as well, that altered the Swiss constitution to outright ban the construction of all minarets within their nation. Again, it was a referendum that passed by nearly 60% of the vote, a pretty overwhelming majority. So what the Swiss People's Party is doing here is they're tapping into a deep-seated sense of concern among more and more populations that we're losing our cultures, our customs, and our traditions that make us unique in the world, that give us a sense of identity and purpose in life. And that as long as globalist dynamics provoke that sense of insecurity, nationalist populist forces like the Swiss People's Party will continue to rise and prevail as the world becomes more and more nationalist, populist, and traditionalist. Are you ready to join the resistance? Because I'm leading a group of dedicated, courageous patriots who can lead a spearhead into the heart of the secular globalist establishment. We punished Bud Light and Target, driven CNN and the legacy media to near bankruptcy, forced BlackRock to backtrack on ESG, and now we're seeing our conservative-dominated Supreme Court ending affirmative action and protecting religious liberty. In my Insiders Club, I show you concrete steps to take locally and online that will only keep this mass uprising going until the battle is won. Don't wait. Click the link in my description below and join my Courageous Patriots Insiders Club today.